Hong Kong and other Asian megacities, business is the lifeblood that drives a daily hustle and bustle in one of the most successful capitalist markets in the world. It's a dynamism that relies heavily on exports. Businessman Sunny Chai heads a manufacturing alliance in Hong Kong. He says removing barriers to trade must be among APEC's top priorities.
For member companies within the alliance, particularly there are people who are selling raw material or additives to material for manufacturers within China, in Thailand, Malaysia, or Indonesia. I believe these kind of manufacturers and companies will be greatly benefit.
With a market of more than 2.5 billion consumers, APEC's 21 member countries account for about 55% of the world's GDP and 43% of global trade. Economist Fred Bergston says APEC's rise reflects the growing importance of the region.
Things have changed a lot, particularly the relative importance of China and the other Asian members of APEC. But it's interesting, APEC has in fact renewed the goals that were initially created back in the 1993-1994 startup of the APEC summits. At that time, the leaders agreed to create free trade and investment in the region by 2010 to 2020.
Despite some progress in reducing tariffs, the goal of an Asia-Pacific-wide free trade zone remains largely unfulfilled. Bergston says the TransPacific Partnership proposed by the U.S. would level the playing field and create new opportunities on both sides of the Pacific.
The ASEAN countries already have free trade agreements with each of the big Northeast Asian countries, China, Korea, Japan. There are other intra-Asian agreements, and all of those inherently discriminate against U.S. trade, thus U.S. business, and particularly U.S. workers.
Those hurdles include preferential treatment among some trading partners and uneven economic growth among member countries. Another is a currency dispute between the United States and China. Despite Beijing's promise to make its currency more flexible, the yuan, or renminbi, has gained only 5% since June. The U.S. insists China's undervalued currency gives its exports an unfair advantage. But Sunny Chai says Asian manufacturers are wary of the currency debate because any sudden moves could affect their bottom line.
So when the RMB currency goes up, meaning the entire direct cost goes up. So this is not a good thing for manufacturers.
Despite ongoing differences, Bergston says there's room for agreement. At the trade ministers' meeting in Montana beginning Thursday, discussions will range from export regulations to the development of incentives to promote trade in green technologies. But Bergston says broader initiatives are likely to take place later this year.
I think President Obama has a huge opportunity to assert leadership in the region, try to move APEC toward the goals of free trade in the region, and I think there's a good chance there will be important progress toward that to report at the summit in Hawaii in November.
APEC represents a significant forum for American companies wishing to expand. Together, the APEC countries purchase 58% of all U.S. exports. Trade officials say continued growth in the region is crucial to the administration's plan to double U.S. exports and create 2 million jobs. Milar Sega, VOA News.